So last time we wrote a view which returned this string to the browser. So we'll continue after from this. So let me activate my virtual environment. So I'll go into the virtual environment folder, that is this one. uh, I think we should do a short revision. So first of all, we installed everything, and after installing Python VS after installing Python VS Code, we installed Django using pip 3 for for Linux. I'm using pip 3, and for Windows it is pip install Python, pip install Django. So we already did this in the last session. After that, we installed the virtual environment using the command virtual env, pip install virtual env. uh, and after that, we started a project in our root folder. That is, first of all, we activated the virtual environment using source bin first created the virtual environment. I downloaded, then created the virtual environment using virtual env with env name, which the name which gave was Django demo. So I've already done this. So if someone is lagging behind, so they can use these commands to create the virtual environment. And after that, we activated the virtual environment by going into the folder, that is this one, Django demo. We are in the virtual environment folder, and we activated using bin source bin slash activate, and the virtual environment is activated. Once you see this virtual environment name in your terminal, then it means that the virtual environment is activated successfully. So I think we should go forward, and after activating the virtual environment, we started a new project in the environment using Django hyphen admin. Misspelled. Django hyphen admin start project, and we gave the project name as Django demo. So yeah, we started the project using this command, and after that, we started an app named portal. So Django hyphen admin start app, and we gave name as portal. So yeah, this is how you can start an app in Django. So I think we did the revision, and we should move forward. So let me activate, and also we did one more thing, that was the running the server. So we ran the server. I'm in the virtual environment folder. So I'm first of all, I'll cd into the project folder. That is, let me show you all the folders here. So here, this Django demo folder is the project folder. So we'll cd into this folder, Django demo. So now we are in the project folder, and now these are our files here. This is the database which is default for Django, that is SQLite 3. And this is our main project folder in the project, and this is manage.py file. Aman has already explained these files and the for file structure in the last session, and this is the app which we created. So now I'm running the server using Python 3. For Linux, I'm using Python 3. For Windows, you should use Python or Py to use this command. Python manage.py run server. So yeah, so you have used. You can see this, that we have 18 unapplied migrations. We'll come back to this later. But first of all, let's see. Let's copy this URL and paste it in the browser. Okay. I think my browser is not visible. Now I think it's visible. So we'll copy this URL, and let me first check what URL which gave last time. So yeah, last time we gave test as the URL to access this view which we imported from the views file. I'll show you the folder structure one more time. This is the app folder. This is the main project folder. So we are not doing anything now in this folder. We are only working in the application folder, that is this portal folder. And this is the view which we wrote. This is the models.py file. We'll come back to this later. We wrote this view last time only. We imported this view from portal.views import test. That is, we gave this function as test name. That in Django we call these functions as views. Once you spend some time with Django, you'll get to know why we call these functions as views. So we imported the view here, and we gave a URL which will be used to access this view. So now I've already ran the server. I'll copy this URL and paste it here. Yeah. So, and at the end we gave test, and also another slash. So yeah, this is our string is rendered. Our string is rendered in the template. The we return h1 tag. So don't bother about this one. This is just some general HTML. You don't have to bother about this. The front end guy will do this part, so you don't have to bother about this. Just keep this in mind, that we have returned an HTTP response which returns a string to the browser. So it is working properly. So this is a white page. Nobody wants his website to be a white page. So will now what we are going to do is, in this session we are going to write some HTML template, and we are going to render those templates in our browser. So from Django has already given us some functions for that, and render is the function which is used to render some template into the browser. So we are going to use this one. First of all, I'll write another view which will be uh, render template view. Let's not do some conflict with the default name. So I'll write my render template view. It will take in a parameter that is request, and it will return a render. So render takes in 3 arguments. The first one is request. Second one is template name. So I'll give home.html as the template name, and at the end it takes in context. So we have not given any context yet. I'll show you this part in next 15 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And first of all, let's render a template in the browser. So I have, first of all, let's copy this view name and import the view in this URLs file. And let's write one more. Let's write one more URL for this view. Page. I'll write home page as the view, as the URL. And we gave a name to the URLs. These names are pretty much important while you're working with the templates. I'll show you while we are going to use the URL name in the template. Then these names will be used. So we have created this URL also, and I'll copy this also and paste it in the. So now it is not going to work. So I'll show you. Yeah, so it is saying template does not exist. We told Django that this is the template which you have to render to the browser, but we haven't created this template. So first of all, we'll create a HTML template. And one more thing there is that will have to tell Django that where our templates are. So first, for that we are going to do some settings in the template, for some settings for the templates. So, here are the template settings. So here the directions uh, directions directions list is empty. So I'll give the directions for my template. So let me create a template folder first. Here it is not compulsory, but it is a very good practice that you keep all your templates at one place. So I usually do this. So I am creating a template folder for that. So I'll go into my files, and here it is. And here I'll create a new folder. This is you can see that this is my Django project folder. So I'm creating a new folder here for the templates. I'll name it as, you can give whatever name you like, but uh, it is a general practice to give this folder as uh, a name as templates. So let's create this folder. As I create, so here in the VS Code, the template uh, is can be seen. I'll create a new file in this template, that is home.html. We have given this name home.html to our views, to our template. So I'll create this template here, home.html. So yeah, it is a HTML template. Let's write some HTML. H1 tag. This is a H1 tag. In HTML, H1 tag is used for giving some headings in the web page. So I'll give a heading. We give a heading, and let's write a p tag. The p tag is used for paragraph. So yeah, so we have wrote the HTML for the for this view, but we haven't still we haven't told Django that where to find our templates. So for that, i I can hard code this templates location. But if I can hard code this templates folder location, but if this code is ran on some other computer, so it won't work. So we have to make this as OS independent, or some system independent. So for that, in Python we have a library that is OS. So for the we'll import OS. We'll import OS. Import and OS dot join base dir templates. So what this is going to do is this will take the OS location. As you can see that we haven't hard coded the folder location. So what this library this function will do this is base directory we have defined at the top. So it is already Django has already done this part for us, that it will already automatically check which folder you're in, that the project folder is in. So it will this function will return the folder location in this variable. I think you guys have already completed Python, so you can you can I think you have a basic idea about this. So this function will return the project location to this variable, and we have what we have done is we have joined the base dir. Uh, the base dir has written the location for this for all these files, and after that we have joined the templates folder to the base dir, that is the all the whole location plus the templates folder. So it will check in the templates folder. I think uh, I think this isn't confusing. Hello. Hmm. So we'll try for one more time. The server is stopped working. I'll run the server for one more time, and let's try one more time. So yeah, the template is rendered successfully. What we did, we told Django that we have a template, we have HTML template, we want to render this template in the browser. So Django has done this part. The settings for the template which we did, you have to do this only once. So the Django will automatically check the templates in this template folder. So all the templates will I think you should it is a best practice to keep all the templates in one folder, and Django will look for the templates in this folder. We have
So one more quick question. So now actually you are taking the relative path, right? So if you are going to give the constant path, so how actually we need to give?
sorry.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Can you repeat?
Yeah. My question is actually the base directory, right? You are actually given the relative path, right? Relative
Yeah.
path. That means
Yeah.
so in your Python, just you create the templates directory, and inside you maintain the HTML file, right? So my
Yeah.
question is how actually we can actually configure the constant path. So from that root path. So suppose
You can
I have a
yeah, you want directly configure the templates folder, so you can directly hard code the location to directly hard code the location here. So
okay.
Django will automatically go in this folder.
So you mean to say that was.path.join is not required and base directory is not required. In that place, actually, we need to put the root path, right? From the
Yeah, yeah,
drive
yeah, yeah.
and whatever the folder, we need to put it.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
but this method is recommended, so I think you should go with this one only.
Yeah. Fine. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have rendered the template. I'll show you one more time. So this is all this this is a h1 tag and this is a p tag. So all this part is hard coded in the template, in the HTML template. We have wrote all these strings, but nobody wants to write uh, all these strings uh, for, in the template. But for that will what we do what we are going to do is we'll define some variables in our Django function, that is this one, or we'll create some new. I'll keep this one, so that for further reference I'll keep this one, and I'll create a new view which will return some variables which we are going to display or print in this template, or will create a new template for that. So let's create another view, dev. This function takes in a request and returns return text in another request. Template name I will give a variable .html, which we haven't created yet. I'll create. And in context, so context, I'll told you I will come back to the context, and now it is here. So in the context, I'll define the context here. Let's give a variable name as first name. It is a Python dictionary. First name, let's give it as last name. I'm giving my name only. So, and we'll send what render will do. Will write context here. What render method will do? It will it will render this variable, this template, and it will pass this context in this template. It is a bit confusing, but once we do this, it will be pretty easier to understand. So we'll create the variable.html template. Well, so we are in the what I did is I pressed shift plus the exclamation mark, that is shift plus one on my keyboard. So I got the boilerplate for HTML. So you can do this, but this isn't compulsory. You can directly write some HTML, but while you're building some real applications or some real website for some big companies, then you'll go in the proper way. So we have created the view, and we gave the name as f name and l name. So I'll write h1 tag, and hello, my name is. And now I'm going to use some Jinja templating. It is a templating language for Django. I don't know it is supported in other backend frameworks, but it is a templating language for Django. So what you have to do is for variables, for the variables which we have sent in context using the render method, we are going to render use those variables uh, with the same name. We have given them a name as f name and l name. So we'll write those variable name in these curly brackets, that is the double curly brackets. I'll show you one more time, the double curly brackets, and will I think I should zoom. So we'll write in the double curly brackets. I'll show you f underscore name l underscore name. Our server is running, and we haven't added this function to the URL. So I'll copy the function name, that is the view name. I'll import it. Let's make this a tuple. So we have imported the function name here. I'm using some keyboard shortcuts, so you can directly manually copy this line. Let's give it as variable. Our function name variable view variable. the server is running, and I'll go into the browser, and for the home, instead of the home page, I'll write variable. So yeah, we what we did, we have successfully rendered some variables which we passed from Python to HTML, that is from Django to HTML, using a view. It is here. So we passed the variables in a dictionary, which we gave name as context. You can give this any name. Uh, you can give this any name, and you can pass this into the template. So I gave some random name, and again we'll go into the browser and refresh. So it still works. So yeah, you don't have to use context every time. You can give any name of your choice. So a quick recap, let's do a quick recap. What we did, first we send a string, that is we wrote the HTML in the view itself, and we send it to the browser, which this. So this is we did this. After that, we rendered a HTML template into the browser, and we gave it a name as homepage, and we wrote this template in the templates folder. Here it is. We rendered the template. We rendered the template in the browser, and at the last, uh, we declared some variables inside the dictionary. Context. I'll keep it as context only. It is a good practice to name this as context. So we we rendered this variable names in our browser. So here it is. So I think the basics of template rendering we have covered. So I think we should go for we should create some models, or before that I'll write one more view.
Can you just go to a variable.html file?
First one.
This please. Variable.html. So I just wanted to understand how actually the values actually you are.
Yeah, so we have used some Jinja templating. Yeah, it is quite confusing. For the variables, we use the double curly brackets, and for if we're writing some for loop, we'll go to the for loop after that. So don't bother about this.
No. My question is actually here you are not referring the context, right? So you just simply refer the f name and l name, right? If suppose
Uh,
I'm going to use a different variable with same name, right? How I can differentiate here?
no, you should not in the dictionary. You should give us separate name or unique name for every variable which you're
Oh,
sending the
yeah.
context.
Okay. Got it. So I cannot use the.
Same
So
name.
see, the dictionary is a different names, the context one. But
Hmm.
inside the context one, I'm going to pass f name. It won't allow.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just going to create another variable, context one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So context one, I'm going to use the same name, f name.
Hmm.
So how actually we can differentiate inside the variable.html? Because
Uh,
you simply put f name only. So does it allow or not?
uh, you sh- no, it doesn't allow that. You
Okay.
have to create a unique name for each of your variables.
Fine. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
thank
do
you.
one more thing. We'll create some we create a Python. This is a dictionary, Python dictionary, and this is a Python variable. We are creating a Python variable with f name as this, and we'll copy this and paste it here. And let's copy this one, paste it here. So this way you can also do this. You can just declare some variables and send those variables to the template again. And it works absolutely fine. Uh, let's change the name for some random testing. Change the variable names and let's refresh. So the names are changed. That is, the variable names are rendered successfully. So let's go to the next part. For is this part clear? Hello.
It's clear. So one more quick question. So the
Yeah,
context, are we can pass only one variable or we can pass multiple variables?
you can pass any number of variables. I'll show you.
No. I'm coming to the point. Return, render, request, right? So there are three parameters. One is the request, another one is the view name, right? Variable HTML, and
Mhm.
another one is the context, right? You pass the dictionary, right?
Mhm.
So and the third place, can we pass more variables into that?
No, you can write those variables in the context, and
For context,
the
yeah,
whole
okay.
context will be passed. You
Yes,
can
okay.
write any number of variables in this context dictionary, and
Okay.
this dictionary will be passed to the template.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Got it. Okay.
clear. Uh, so I think we have done some basic templating language. So now we'll go for the models. Aman has already shown you what models, views, and settings these files are for, and the URLs file. So I'll write some model, that is, I'll create a table in the database. Django is using ORM. We have already covered ORM in the last session. So Django is using ORM, so we don't have to write some database query, that is select create table in Django. Django will automatically do those part. So we'll create a model, and Django will create a database table for our model. So let's write a model. For model, we write a class, and we give it a name. So again, let's give it as blog. I'm giving as blog so that we can cover we can cover the parts which are done in a blog website. So I'm giving as it a name as blog, and we'll inherit this class from the class models.model. You can see that from Django.db, Django has already import models for us, and will inherit our class from this class. And I'll write blog name. We are giving some names to our database columns. So first column will be blog name. So it is gonna be a models.char field. Uh, it is a character field, that is, it can take in as some characters, that is uh, A B C D or 1 2 3 4. These characters it can take in. So I'm giving it a char field, and for char field we give the max length. For the time being, I'll give it as 25. uh, Another field that we are going to do is mod text field, and for the text field we are going to use text field. uh, one more just one more field I'll give as is active models dot boolean field, and we'll give default as true for this field. So what we have done is we created three columns for our database. First one is blog name, which will store the name of the blog. Second one is text, which will store the text in the blog. And the third one is a boolean field, which is going to store that is the blog is active or not. So uh, once we created the model, we have to register. Before that, I'll show you the data. Yeah, it is saying that operations error, no such table. So this error is arising because we haven't earlier I showed you that we have 18 unapplied it said that we have 18 unapplied migrations. So it means that we haven't uh, uh, we haven't created the database and did the database setup yet. So this warning was coming, so we'll fix it. First of all, I showed you before so that you can understand what we did in the migrations. And let's register the model. We created the model in the model.py file, and in the to register the model, we'll import the model in the admin.py file of the same application. So I'll open this one, and Django has already imported this admin thing from the django.contrib library. So I'll import so to register the model, we'll import this model name, the model into this file from dot models. We can use this dot notation to access the files, because we have the Django has created a init.py file, which lets us use these files as Python module instead of some random Python files. It lets us use it as Python modules. So we are able to do this from dot models. I'll import. So we have imported blog from our models.py file. I'll clear the other files so it looks a bit cleaner. We have imported it and we'll register this model. What the registration means is that we are saying Django that we have created a model and we want to start using this model. So I'm going to register it. Admin.site dot register, and the name for the class, that is the table. So we have registered it, and still we have 18 unapplied migrations. So this is an important step. Whenever we write some website, we Django is doing the ORM thing, that is it is taking care of the database. So we'll have to create some migrations. So for the creating the migrations, I'll write python 3 manage.py make migrations. So what it will I'll show you the migrations files also. Here in the migrations, we have only one .init file, and as I click on this, as I run this, we have created the blog model, and initial migrations file has appeared. So it is what this file is doing is it has automatically created these all this text or all this code in the file. So what this migrations things will do is it will go in the database and create a model, that is create a table in the database and give it as a name as blog, and it will give the field's name as blog name, text, and is active. And you can see one more field there is, that is the ID field. So for in Django, we in data, if you have some database knowledge, so you can you, you you'll know that what this primary key is. Primary key is, I'll explain you when will start using this primary key. So Django has automatically created this ID field in the database for us, and the other fields which we gave was has already created. But still we have created the migrations and not applied the migration. That Django has created this file, but it has not yet told that the database that we have to create this table with these fields. So for that, what we'll do is python 3 manage.py migrate. So now what this will do is, so you saw that something happened here. So everything went into this database. You can see that db to sqlite 3, it is the database. If you want, you can explore that also, right? Also and this we only created the blogs app, the blogs table, and this all these migrations are ran. So these are, I'll show you in the settings. In the installed apps, we have these apps are installed in the default in Django. That is the admin, auth, content type, sessions, messages, static files. uh, uh, these are some general Django files, and we created an app named portal, so we have also installed that app, and all the migrations are ran. And all the migrations for our app has also ran. So now I'll run the server one more time, and now we'll go into the browser and let's refresh. One more thing, we'll have to create a super user so that we can we can access the admin panel. So for that, I'll write python 3 manage.py create super user. Create super user. It is asking to give a username, so I'll give it as Fladra only, and then email as. So we have created the success. We have successfully created the super user. I'll run the server one more time. Now we have created the super user, so we can access the admin panel. The username which we gave was this, and password. Let's log in. So we have logged in into the admin panel. This is the admin interface which Django already provide us. It is one more thing with Django, that the admin panel is automatically generated. So this is our model, that is the data. We can access the whole database from here. So and we can add some blog. So yeah, so here it is. We gave these three fields to our table. So first name is blog name, so I'll write as test blog, some text. uh, and is active is true, so I'll save this one. So the blog is saved, and the you here we can see that it is saying that blog object one. So if you want to rename the, so if you want to return the name which we gave to the blog, we can write a method in our model. That is, we can write a method that is the str method. I'll write def underscore underscore str underscore underscore. It will take in as self, and it will return. I think we should return the blog name so that we can distinguish between different blocks. So I'll return the blog self.blog name. It is a class, so for accessing the variables of the class, I'm using self. So we have written the self.blog name, and if I refresh here, so you can see that the blog name has arrived as the str method has written this. So now what we are going to do is we'll create one. I think we should create one or two more blocks. Yeah, this is enough. So what we are going to do is we'll render this table data, that is the blog table data, into our template. So for that, I'll write a new view, that is def. For before that, I'll import the model from dot models, import blog. So we have imported the blog. I'll write the view as def. So now what we are going to do is render the blog data into the template. For that, I've already imported the blog model into the views. And what I'm going to if we are using some database, that is we don't have the ORM, will write some select from table name. So we are not going to do that. That Django is already taking care of that part. So what we are going to write is we'll define a variable. For the time being, I'll define as blocks, and in that variable what we are going to store is the blog dot objects dot all. So what this is going to return is it will return all the objects, that is blog is a class, and for the class we have a few objects, that is we have created two objects, that is these two are the entries in our database. For in Python we'll call it as that, in Django we'll call it as the class objects. So this all method will return all the objects of this block class into this variable, that is we have defined as blocks. So I'll write I'll return I should clear this context thing, and let's return blocks here, and blog.html. I'll create this template as well. Yeah, so to boilerplate, this is a Django boilerplate. The title I'll give as blog. In the body I'll write a p tag in that, instead of this I'll write a ul tag, and into this I'll write a li list item. So for the first list item will be name of the blog. Blog name I'll give it as we have written all the blocks. So I'll go to that after this. First of all, let's return a single object, that is the first one, that is get object dot get id. I already showed you that Django has created a primary key id for the blocks objects, so I'll use this, that also. So id equals to 1, and this will be returned in the HTML template. This get method will return only one object, and all method will return all the objects of the blog table. The blog name will give as blogs dot I think we have gave name as blog name. Let's see, you can see that we have written blogs, and all the data in the blogs is written to the uh, template. So I'll render template variables, Python variables into the templates. We use these curly brackets. So I'll write blogs dot blog name. I think this should work. Server stopped working, so I'll run server one more time. Let's try. We wrote the view, and let's import this view in the URLs. We imported the view from portal.views. We gave the name as blog page and the URL as blog. So let's try. Acha. Uh, let's give this variable a name of blog, and let's try one more time. So yeah, what I did was, first let's go to the name. We change the name. Let's try one more time. So yeah, uh, I should increase the text size here. So you can see that we have successfully rendered the data from the database and returned the data to the HTML template. So I think we should do a quick revision of this. First of all, we created the model and gave some fields. We ran the migrations, we ran the server. Then we came to the and then we registered the our model into the admin panel, that is here. We registered our model into the admin panel. After that, we went to the views. We wrote a normal view, and we return the blog object to the HTML template in the using the context, and then we access each variable of that class. I'll show you. Keep this first. We define these three uh, variables for the table, that is these three columns for the table, and we return this object with id equals to id1. We have created two objects. The object we created first with this one was with id1, this one was with id2. We return we called this uh, blog object, and we return to the uh, template, and then in the template we wrote we return this using the name blog. This is the key and this is the value. So the value we have written this, and for the key we the key is used to access the data in the template. So we named this it as blog. So I access the blog name as blog name, and in the curly brackets that means we are using the Jinja templating. The second field is blog.text. Third one is active. So, and we took this view into the URLs and registered and give the URL as blog. And now you can see that all the values. And I think we should do this first. I'll show you the database. The first we call with id1, this one, and now I'll call you with this id2. Go to the views and call with id2. The server is refreshed. We will come here and again refresh. So the data with id2 is rendered properly. So this is how you render database data from the database data to the HTML template. Python has Django has made this process pretty easy. What we did, we rendered this object in the template. So now what the next part is we'll render all the data. Mm, Instead of using this one, I'll write another view. So this time we are going to use all. And write as blocks. Let's create this template also. So what I did, instead of just getting one object from the database using this method, we are getting all the objects of the blocks table and returning it to this template, which we haven't created yet, obviously. Let's create a new file in this template, bloglist.html. The boilerplate for HTML title, body. So now we are going to use a for loop, that is the Python for loop in HTML. So for that, we are using the Jinja templating, and for the for loop, the syntax is like this: double curly brackets, the percentage sign, and inside this we'll write for blog. In what do we return? We have returned blocks, this variable. So we'll like this for blog in blocks, and we'll end this for loop. In Ginger templating, we'll have to end the for loop. So, and for here, I'll write the way I'll copy this all. Uh, let's copy this and paste it here. We used we are iterating. It's so we'll list return a blog list in this blogs variable to this template, and what we are doing is we are iterating the this list using the usual Python to syntax. But in the in Ginger templating, we'll have to add this percentage sign and curly brackets and end this for loop. So let's try if this works. Let's add this view to the URLs. So it is giving me error because I haven't imported it. Let's import render all block data. And here I'll write blog list blog list page blog list. Okay, let's try. So yeah, you can see I'll break it. I'll add a br tag, another br tag, the hr tag. Refresh. So you can see we have we created two objects. Let's keep it proper. Let's refresh. Yeah, you can see we have iterated. We step by step in the views. We called all the objects and stored it in this variable. We returned this variable to the template, and in the template we iterated using the Ginger templating language that is using this syntax. And for each what this is doing is for each blog in this blog list, it is for each blog it is printing the blog name, blog text, and is active. So you can see the output in the browser. uh, let's add one more. So add one more blog 3. Save. Add another. Save. And let's come here and refresh. So you can see all the blocks are rendered, all the data is rendered from Django to HTML, and these dots are because I used some HTML here, that is list item. So this is how you iterate. This is how you take all the data from the database and return to the browser. So we can do one more thing, that is we can filter this data. So for that we can filter using any of the fields. So I think we should filter using is active field. So all for all the fields, for all the objects we have set is active to true. So I'll change it. Let's change for block 3 is active is now false. Let's save. And for 1 as well, let's save. Add one more. Let's deactivate. No, let's activate this one. And now we have deactivated view. I'll write another view. Yeah, I'll push this code to GitHub so that you can take access. So that's why I'm creating a new view for each time we create something. So let's create another. So for filtering, we use this filter method which Django has provided us. So we are filtering with is active field. So is active. I'll copy the name from the model so that we don't misspell it. Is active is true. So what this means is all the blocks which are activated, which have is active as true. So those will be returned and will be stored in this blocks variable, and we are returning it to the template which we are creating. Let's create this. I'll write the change at templating language. For block, you can use anything here. I'll use I for I in. We have returned blocks here also. So I'll write for I in blocks. I'll first end this for loop. Again, let's copy this. Let's copy the whole thing. Paste it here. Server is running. Let's add to the URLs. Everything is set up. I'll copy this, paste it into the browser. Copy. So you can see that all the blocks which are active are rendered. You can see the title is changed also. So it is quite simple in Django to filter things. We can also filter with in inactive. That's right, false. So it will return all the false. That is the blocks which yeah, you can see that the blocks which are inactive are returned. That is the uh, is active is false for these two blocks. So it is returned. And return this. Mm, let's do one more thing. Let's go to the if all blog list. And one more thing I wanted to show you is the if else in Jinja templating. So it is the syntax is like this, and we'll do it by an example. In the all blocks, we have deactivated few blocks. So we are writing a condition here. Let's tab this. I'll write a condition here. I'll write the whole syntax myself. What we are doing is we are iterating the blog list, which we are playing with this one. If blog dot is active, blog dot is active, then this part will be executed. And also we'll have to end this if as well. So let's try. Is active using the all log. So yeah, so you can see. I'll show you the admin panel first. We have 5 objects for that. Let's deactivate this one also. Let's refresh. So you can see that only 2 are remaining which are active. I'll show you by a list display in the admin. I'm doing some advanced part, so don't bother about this thing. What I did is uh, earlier we'd only registered the model into our admin panel, but now I have changed the look, the list display. That is the display. I'll refresh first. Here. So we have changed these fields which will be returned in this list. So you can see that two block 4 and 5 are active and others are false. So yeah, block 4 and 5 are active, others are false. So we can also revert this. If not, let's try this one. So you can see that the false what we did is here is if not blog dot is active, but if the blog is not active, that is the blog is active field for the blog is false, then this part will be executed. So here it is, the false are returned. So I think we have covered a lot in this one. It's 12:05, so I think we should take some doubts now so that we have more time for the doubts. So if any. Hello. So I think everything is clear.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Uh, can I pass the active status from front end? Like which one I want to show the active and inactive.
You
I
want
don't
to,
want to the hard. I don't want the hard. Want to hard code. I don't want
yeah,
to hide code.
yeah, we have created the objects from the admin panel, and you want to create the objects
Not
from the,
object from front end.
yeah. So we have decided to keep those CRUD operations in the next session.
Okay.
We'll do all the create, read, update, delete, all the operations in the next session. So it will it will be covered in that session.
Okay.
Anything
Okay.
else?
Actually, Davish, I have missed the last class. So the thing is, what actually do we have used? SQLite, right?
Yeah,
The in-memory database, right?
yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, we have used SQLite 3. That's right.
But we can use any ORM, right? Any database.
Yes, you can use any database in the Django. I'll show you. Uh, you can change database. We are planning something for that in the upcoming sessions. So we'll do that. It is anything else? I think we should do one more thing. We have time, so I think we should take the one more thing which we can do is take the arguments using the URL. So I'll show you that also. So what we are going to do is first we did blog. So we returned a second object. We hard coded the ID into the uh, view which we wrote. So now I'm going to do is if I write one here, so it will return the first object. If I write 5 here, it will return the fifth object. So let's go there. It was this one. So yeah, I'll clear the other one. Models admins, we don't need this. I'm creating a view which will return a template. It will be usually used for blog detail. That is, we'll pass the blog ID from the URL and the blog will be returned. So I'm naming it as blog detail.html. That's so now we are taking the argument from the URL. So we'll take one argument here, that is the ID. You can name it anything, but I'm naming it as ID. So what we'll do is uh, I'll, I'll query the database using blog dot objects dot get ID equals to ID. So it will return the block which the ID will pass using the URL. I'll show you, but what this will do is it will return the block with the ID which we are going to provide it. So I'll add this into the context. And now the main part is for the URLs. Let's copy this. First of all, yeah, we can use this template. We'll copy this template. New file. Detail.html. Copy. Yeah. Now what I'm doing is I'm passing a variable into the URL. So for the variable we have to give the type of the variable. So the type can be a string or an integer or a pk is the primary key which we have the Django migrations file generated for us. And also we have one more thing, we have a slug field. So we'll come I'll show you the slug. The slug is usually used, so I'll show you that also, but first we'll start with the ID. So ID is an integer, or also we can use pk, that is the primary key. So I'm using ID. So here what this will do is I'll add a slice slash. What this will do is it will search for a ID at the end of the URL, uh, and which this ID will be passed to this functions that is which have we have. I didn't control. Let's copy the view name. Let's import it. Let's give it a name. Now with what this URL will do is this will take in an argument from from the browser, that is will pass the argument using the URL, and it will pass this argument to this function which we wrote, that is this one. And after that we took this ID and passed this ID into the get method, which returns a single object from the database. So it will it will look for the blocks data that is stable, and it will go into the ID field and check if this ID exists, and then if it exists, then it will return it into this variable. So I think everything is looking fine. Let's try. Let's copy this. /1. So yeah, I'll rename this test block 1 2 3 4 5. So the first one is rendered. You can see I gave a name as ID as 1 in the URL. It's passed 2. So you can see that second object is rendered, and so on. Let's try with 5. Fifth one is rendered. What if there is no object with the provided ID? So let's try with 100. We have only 5 objects. So it is raising an error that block matching query does not exist. So to handle this error, we usually need to handle this error because it arises many times. So what we do is we first of all we'll need to import something, that from Django.shortcuts import get object or 404. I let's use this first. Get object or 404. This is a function which returns an object if it exists, or otherwise it raises a 404 error. So we are currently, let's go to this and refresh. We are seeing this page, that is ugly page. So now we are using get object or 404. So what this will return is it will return the object, or otherwise raise a 404 error. So the first argument it takes in is as is the model name. So our model name is blog, that is the table name, and we are searching the object using the id. So I'll add as id equals to id, which we took from the url. So let's try one more time. Let's refresh. So now you can see that it raises a 404 error instead of that previous page which we were getting. And now if the object exists, if the object exists, it returns the data, otherwise it raises a error. So this is it.
So get update 404 is the standard function, right? Or
Yeah, standard function, not standard, but usually used. This function is more used than the get method.
okay,
Yeah,
it's a predefined function, right? Not a user
yeah,
defined.
yeah, pre-written.
Okay, okay, thank you. So like this, we have the n number of error codes, right? So based on that, each and every code we can check and we can respond to that browser. What is the error, actual error?
Yeah.
Okay.
So any doubts? I think we have covered a lot in this one. Last time we only did this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We covered 6, and a lot of part is covered. The if and for in the template is also covered. I think in the next section, next session, we can create a complete blog website from start to end. Uh, yeah, we can do that. Yes, inshallah, next session we'll do that. One more thing, I'll show you the slug part I told you. For the slug, slug is a field that let me show you. In the url, here we are showing the id in the url, that is this id is being shown in the url, but we don't want that. We don't want the people visiting our website to see how many blogs we have in total. That is the directly the we don't want them to directly get the access to the id, or that is the primary key of the blogs or any other model. So for that we are will use the slug is kind of like this. If our blog name is the blog name is this test blog one, so the slug will be like this. Control v hyphen, yeah. So this is the slug, that is the will return a field, string field, which and the slug will add a hyphen between them. That is the we don't get any error with the url, that is the spacing in the url. So for that we add a hyphen, and uh, we don't we only return the name. Sometime most of the time we return the name of the blog or the model we have. So it slugifies this name. So we'll do this. First of all, we'll need to add a slug field to the model. Let's add a slug field. Not slug field. So let's keep it empty for the time being, and let's import a method. I think it is in templates default filter. Let's try from Django template dot default filters import. Slugify. So now what this is going to do is this method will slugify. For that we'll have to override the save method of this class. That is, we are using this class to inherit our blog model. So now we are it has already provided us with a save method, but now we need to overwrite it because we are creating a slug with the blog name. So we'll have to do it manually. So I'll write a save method, def save. Oh, shit. It will take in self. It is a method of the class because now I'll do is slug self dot slug slugify self dot log name. I think we should pass out some keyword args also. So what this will do is it will assign this slugified value of blog name, slugified blog name value to our slug field on the super method. So what I did is this is a super method, that is we have the model have provided us with a save method. So we don't but now we need to override. We have to do something in our model so that Django cannot do that part. So what we did is we overrode this method and assigned the our slug field with this slugified value of blog name, and over I'll super dot save. What this method do is it will call the save method of the parent class, that is this models dot model, that this parent class, that the save part is covered in this method. So we are calling that method. So after that, if we override this and we only keep it like this, so nothing will be saved because we didn't save anything, but Django has done that. So we are calling that method. So now let's try. First of all, we change the models. So whenever we change our models, we change anything in the models or change any field in the model. So what we do is we create the migrations, and let's create the migration. So it is the command to create the migration, python main.py make migrations. So now it is you are adding to try a non-nullable field slug to blog without a default. So we already have 5 objects in our database, and we are trying to add a slug field which cannot be null. So so Django is asking us that what to do with the existing objects in the database. So now it gave us 2 options. So I'll choose the first one, which is provide on and off default. So I'll choose the first one and hit enter, and I'll add some slug value. Uh, let's keep it like this. So because we are going to save the objects one more time, so the slug will be generated. So I'm keeping it like this. So the migrations are cleared. Let's migrate and let's run the server. Let's go into the database. You can see the slug which we gave a default value to each and every one. So I'll save one more time and I'll go into this. So you can see I'll just, you can see that the slug is generated. That is, we saved the object, that is we call the save method on this block object. So in the save method we have done this, we slugified this value and assigned it to the slug field. So Django is doing it. As I hit the save button, it changes. You can see here it is test. Save one more time. Go for, now you can see that the slug is created. So we have saved everything. Now let's create a method, that is the view. Let's override this one. No, let's create a new one. Here we are going to get slug. Let's add to the URLs. We'll use the same templates because we don't have to change anything. Let's copy this one and import. Instead of integer, we'll write slug. I'm giving some random names to the URL. Let's copy this one. Everything looks good. So let's try. Control V, and let's add some slug. That is, let's copy this one. Let's add a slide. So you can see that this one is called with the slug. We can also do this with the second one. Yeah. You can see that we send the slug name using the URL. The URL called the view, that is this URL called this view, and pass the argument, this slug argument, to this view, and returned this the object with the same slug. And in this template we returned it. And you can see, let's try with this one. So, and refresh. So the fifth one is rendered.